Okay, I'm going to break this down into a couple sections. First one was the start of the convoy. And it's something I don't know if everyone quite knows this, because there's been a lot of videos on YouTube and on Telegram and everything about all the people that were lined up on the roads. Well, let me tell you something. I don't cry very often. But on the way out to Ottawa, it took 6 days by the time we got there, I had tears in my eyes because we have woken the world up.
Yeah!
Along the road, people were gathered, and it was bloody cold out. And they were gathered everywhere. There was people that standing on the end of their driveways by themselves for hours waiting for us to get there and cheer us on. So it's important, so that's why I'm saying, where is everyone? If people can stand out for 3 hours out in the cold and wait for us, we can come out here now that it's nice and warm out. But here's what it was like. So you're driving in the convoy, you're concentrating on what you're doing. Maybe you get up on the highway speed and you're going, maybe you might have just got up to 80 kilometers an hour. Okay, that's not quite highway speed, but that's, you know, you're in a big convoy. All of a sudden the brakes will be slamming on. What the heck's going on? And you hear on the radio, stop, stop. You know why? Because there were so many people in these small towns along the side of the road that we had to stop because there was people on the road. I'm not kidding. They were standing on the road. There was kids even on the road, which wasn't a good thing. But because they're passionate and they wanted to cheer us on. And I'm going to mention one group, and I'm not trying to be prejudiced or anything like this. And I apologize if if I'm going to say the wrong religion. But there was Hutterites on the end of all these driveways across the prairies.
Yeah!
And you know what? Sometimes there'd be 20 of them, and sometimes there'd be 100 of them. It depended on the size of the colonies. And I'll swear, I never knew there were so many colonies out there, and I have never seen them support a movement like they supported this movement.
Yeah!
And I'm going to jump ahead slightly here in Winnipeg. When we went through Winnipeg, we were at a crawl the entire way through Winnipeg trying to get around the bypass. And there were so many of us in the convoy that we were told, we were told that we couldn't go to the Flying J because there was too many of us. But the Hutterites had set up there to feed us. And this was, in Winnipeg, it was like 30 below. And you know what they did? They packed everything up and they scooted through town and they met us at a little town on the other side of Winnipeg and were waiting for us to arrive. Now that's dedication. I want to see it out of everyone here. And that's sacrifice, because they didn't have to do this. They have their own colonies. They stick to themselves. But they know we're in trouble. And we're in big, 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 big trouble. Okay? I don't care if it's all fun to go on a convoy and fun to hang around and drink beer at night. This is serious. So this convoy went, and it took 6 days. And I'm talking 10, 12-hour days, because start, stop, start, stop, start, stop, slow down. And it was great. I loved every minute of it, and I'll do it in a drop of a bucket. Only trouble is I left my van in Manitoba on the way back. It did a nosedive, head first, flew in the air, landed on its roof, and it's no more. So those of you that are looking for my van, that iconic van that's been in all over Alberta, doesn't exist anymore. But at any rate, so we get out to Ottawa. I'm going to skip forward. I mean, this was 6 days of what I just described, every single day. And I'll swear, I am never, never, never going to eat another frozen white bread, cheese, and ham sandwich again. Because for some reason, everybody wanted to give us those. And trust me, they tasted good. When you're driving and you have no food, it was still good, but I just don't need another one. All right, so we get to Ottawa, nothing but confusion, and they're blaming Tamara for organizing this. All she did is do some fundraising, because the organizers, who knows who was organizing and who wasn't, because there was no communication. When we got to Ottawa, we ended up all over the place, in different places. a large group ended up on the McDonald Parkway. We were supposed to go up to Parliament Hill, but the police blocked us, so we just took over the Parkway. We were one of the smaller contingents because some of the trucks moved at night, and they went downtown. So we became the staging area on the McDonald Parkway. So trucks, bobtails would come in, they would stay the night and maybe 2 nights, and then at 3 in the morning they would sneak downtown. Because we were close enough for them to do that. But when we got there, because we were isolated, they had a bunch of camps, one in Arnprior, one out of town, one at downtown. They had all these camps, and they were all set up, and we were lonely by ourselves out there, and we had no food, nothing. Well, guess what? Now you're going to really see the passion and why this is so important. People found out about us being isolated, and the next thing you know, all these people showed up with all this coffee that it all went cold and froze. Because everyone showed up at the same time, so we had to try and get them to spread it out through the day. I'm going to really shorten this up now because I don't want to be here all day, and I could speak all day. Thank you. They organized it. There were some people there that helped organize it, and by the people that were bringing us all the supplies, we had to start turning them down. We had nothing, and we went and ended up with several tents, barbecues, cook stoves, heaters, and I'm talking big tents, all donated. See this jacket here? That's probably a $400 jacket. It was given to me because I was a little bit cold. I left with nothing. I just went. I tore my gazebo apart and threw some insulation in my van and used tape to hold it in place. And it was bloody cold. Matter of fact, backing up in Winnipeg, I woke up in the middle of the night. It was over -30, and I had no heat in my van. But you know what? Remember that word I said? Dedication? Yeah. And sacrifice. So I kept going. So let's speed this up. We're looked after now. People brought us socks. They brought us underwear. They brought women's things. They brought everything. Anything. There were people from Ukraine. There were people from Russia. There were people from Poland. There were people from all over Europe. And you know what they did? They said to us, please don't leave. Don't stop. You know why? Because they have nowhere to go. They said, we came from this. This is exactly what happened in their country. This is exactly identical to the way things progressed. And they're freaking out, and they were begging us, don't leave, don't stop. We have nowhere to go. So that is the sacrifice they're making too. They're down there. There's people driving in from Toronto with food for us, and then they would drive home that night. Okay, so I'm going to skip on that one now too. But you just know it's important. They brought us everything we need. And you know what we did with that? We had to bug out a couple of times, all right? I'm going to get into that. All those supplies, we couldn't take it all with us. We gave it to the food banks. We gave it to the churches. We gave it to the homeless. We gave it to whoever needed it. So all this bull that you hear on the news about us stealing stuff from the homeless, that's hogwash. Everyone kept everything clean. We shoveled sidewalks. Everything was done. This is a movement that is now worldwide. So now let's skip downtown. So downtown Ottawa, speakers set up, music playing, bands playing, everything's going on down there, and it was great. Bouncers for the kids, popcorn machines. But since we're terrorists, they took the bouncers away, the police. They took the popcorn machine away. Fine. It kept going for a few more days, and then, I'm telling you, this is when sacrifice comes in. You got to sacrifice yourself sometimes. The police started at the East End in front of the Parliament buildings, or just beside them, and they decided they're clearing us out because they don't like us. And I'm telling you, these police here, we got to make sure they're on our side, but otherwise they get a phone call from above and they're going to come in here and move us out. I'm sorry, it's just reality until they learn what we represent. So they started to move us out, and they formed lines and lines. They had police from all over Canada. I don't even know where half these police came from. Okay, now hang on, I'm going to get into that. There's a whole bunch of these people. I promised I wouldn't swear. They didn't have any recognizable uniform. Okay. They didn't have any recognizable uniform at all. And we went head to head with them. And I'm not getting any younger. And I stood on the front lines against them, and they were pushing forward. And they would move up 2 feet. They would grab you. When it happens here, I've got the techniques down to how to counter them, because they grabbed me and almost had me, but I was lucky. I had some friends there. They wouldn't leave me. People I just met. People from Quebec, Alberta, Quebec, hand in hand, together. It was amazing, amazing. But the police showed no mercy, and these guys, I think they were UN troops or mercenaries. So you know what happened, so I'm not going to go into that anymore. But we had to bug out. And when we bugged out, we had to tear down everything in a day. And we bugged out of town. And then when we sat up there, the police followed us. They had drones and everything on us. And guess what? We had to bug out again. And shortly thereafter, I decided it might be time to come home, because it's been 4 weeks then, living in my van with sometimes no heat. I just found out how many holes were in that van. Maybe it's best it's sitting in Verdun, Manitoba right now in a graveyard. I don't know. But I made it home. But there's a lot of people that did a lot more than I did out there. So what was the first word I told you guys about when I started this speech? Dedication, okay? We need people that are going to be dedicated to this movement, because if you're not dedicated to this movement, we're going to lose. I mean it. We are going to lose. I'm going to beg you, just like the immigrants there in Ottawa begged us. We can't stop, because you need dedication, because we're in trouble. What was the other word I said? Sacrifice. Now that's the tough one, you guys. Look at Pastor Art sitting at the Remand Center. He's out there. He sacrificed himself. So that's the least that everybody can do here. Dedication, sacrifice. Otherwise, we're done. All right.